right, hello again. We are still talking about Frankenstein. Frankenstein and technology. I think this is a big thing. And you could write, I'm pretty sure, an entire doctoral thesis on Frankenstein and technology and what this book is saying about our relationship to Frankenstein. I am not writing a doctoral thesis. I'm making some YouTube videos for fun to keep myself entertained and creative. So that's what we're going to do. We're not going to get into PhD levels of analysis on this. But was Mary Shelley trying to warn us about the dangers of science? That's the big question that I think hangs over this book. Is Mary Shelley trying to deliberately tell us, hey, there's some stuff that we are not meant to know, there's some stuff that we are not meant to explore and to understand, and they are better left alone? My thought is no. Because Victor is not a normal person. So hear me out. I think if Mary Shelley was really trying to talk about, hey, science can be dangerous, over-reliance on science can be dangerous, exploring certain topics can be dangerous and deadly and terrible, I don't think she would have made Victor as flawed and unlikable as he is. I think maybe she would have created a Victor who was trying to do something in service of mankind, which certainly being able to create life from lifelessness could be used to serve mankind. I think the idea of exploring the sciences to bring people back from the dead, exploring the sciences to heal the unhealable, as it were, that could be applied to the world, and that could do great good for the world. And then that story turning into a, but some things are not meant for us to know, I think that story would have been a clearer warning on the limits and boundaries of science. Victor's not like that. Victor is selfish. Victor is, if he has a fatal flaw, a hamartia, as it were, it's his insatiable hunger for knowledge, not because he wants to help people, not because he wants to make the world a better place, but because he wants to know it. Because he wants it for him. He wants to be the genius that is able to bring life to lifelessness. And this is foreshadowed a bit with Captain Walton in the very beginning, when Walton is writing his letters to his sister, going, I'm going to sail to the North Pole, and he says, someday I'm going to be on the same pedestal as Shakespeare and Homer, right? Captain Walton wants to be this world-renowned explorer. Eventually, this doesn't work for him, but we can see that with Victor, and we can understand why Victor and Walton became such friends. But Victor doesn't want to do this for the world. Victor wants to do this for himself. And so I think that, if Shelley was trying to say, hey, there's some sciences, some things that science shouldn't explore, I feel like she would have made the protagonist a little more likable, or at least a little more charitable towards the rest of the world, instead of someone as just generally awful as Victor Frankenstein was. That being said, we can, what Mary Shelley may have wanted, I can't know, because Mary Shelley is dead and she doesn't talk to me. But what we now from the 21st century can derive from Frankenstein is, that there may be things that are too dangerous to know, or at the very least that there are unintended consequences to science. You may have seen, I'm recording this at the very, very, very end of 2023, and you may have seen Oppenheimer. And that movie also dealt with kind of a very similar, it's a very Frankensteinian story of a man who is looking for knowledge and trying to understand how to make a nuclear bomb, not because it's the right thing to do, not because he hates anybody that the bomb might be dropped on, but because it fulfills his particular needs to become great. And so we can still see the story that Shelley has been telling keeps getting echoed and echoed and echoed and echoed almost 200 years after she wrote Frankenstein. So I think that we in a modern technological driven society can certainly understand that, and we certainly do fall victim to what Victor fell victim to, which is not appreciating the consequences of what we have done. And we have created marvels. Don't get me wrong. The fact that I'm talking to you over this incredible service and this network is part of that. We have created absolute wonders. Kings of ancient times would murder for the cell phone in your pocket if the cell phone worked. But even if the cell phone didn't work, they would still murder for it. We have done amazing things. And we tend to make things without really trying to think through their consequences. We make iPhones and iPads, and we don't really think about what it means to be constantly connected to the world 24/7. And sure, that can be wonderful. You can get a dumb thought in your head and find the answer any way you want. But at the same time, your boss can always get in touch with you. At the same time, I admit, even for me, it's hard sometimes to just be alone with my thoughts now, right? If I have a few minutes, my impulse is to grab my phone and to go doom scroll through Twitter or X or whatever Elon's calling it now. It's become harder to do what I used to do before cell phones, which is just to exist. Sit, be, think, imagine, dream, read, things like that. Things like, again, there are various technology, robotics, AI is a big thing. There are all these things that we think of these are really cool ideas, and we think, yeah, this will be great. But we don't think about, well, what could the effect be on us? And so to that effect, yeah, I think Frankenstein is definitely a warning on technology for us. It's maybe not so much saying don't go there, because there looks really cool and we really want to see what's over there, but more in the sense of, have you really thought through what going there means and what going there entails and what your responsibilities are for having gone there, right? Have you thought about that? I don't think we think about that very often. Jurassic Park, we thought so much about how much we could. We didn't think about whether or not we should. I know I mangled that line, but you get the point. So I think that's one of the reasons why Shelley's work, why Frankenstein has survived as long as it has, is because we keep finding ways to apply it to the world. It kind of reminds me of Tolkien, who said that he believed that Lord of the Rings, while not being an analogy for anything, but had applicability, that you could apply the one ring to many different things. I think we can do that with Frankenstein as well. We can apply the lessons that Victor Frankenstein learns about himself and about his science and about discovery to the modern world. And so it remains very, very relevant to us, which is kind of fun, considering that Frankenstein was I guess, supposed to be a one-off story that Mary Shelley came up with to sort of scare the guys that she was hanging out with. And I wonder what she would think to know that we are still reading it and still getting lessons from it today. Would Mary Shelley be amused? Would she be horrified that we haven't learned the lesson of Frankenstein yet, if indeed she was trying to teach us a lesson at all? So, those are my thoughts on Frankenstein and technology. Nice and short. Like I said, so many people have covered this better than I have, but these are my thoughts, and mine alone. So, I will see you next time.